This is how you should not hold a torch, unless all you wish to see is the torch itself. Luckily there's a mod called Torch Position Fix that gets it the hell out of the way. In fact, honestly, I would actually prefer it move it even further out of the way so you could only see the torch on a really wide FOV. There are 3 versions of the mod, one that holds it off to the left and a little lower, one that holds it at about the same height but to the left, and that is probably my personal favourite, and another that holds it even higher. I do like the height of the torch in that version, but I find the arm looks like it's held in a strange way, so it makes me feel a little uncomfortable, and I find myself scrunching my shoulder up in response to it. But all 3 versions are a massive improvement over the wannabe Fire Eater look. And if you want to make the torches even more pleasant to use and perhaps even useful, there is a mod called Brighter Torches that increases the radius of light that they give off. There's a version of the mod that increases it by 50%, and there's another that doubles it. I'm using the one that doubles it, and honestly it does not feel unreasonable at all, and it definitely, well, it helps you find things a little easier, but more important, it just feels a little cozier when wandering around a dungeon, torch in hand. Of course, this is going to be even more noticeable if you are using some sort of mod that increases the darkness of dungeons or nights. Dodging. This is something that I liked the concept of in the Oblivion Remaster, but never really gelled with. I found it a little clumsy to use, and this was basically because you had to block and then press the space key while moving in a direction. And half the time, if I was in melee for example, blocking was probably the better option anyway, so you'd essentially have no reason to dodge. And in those cases where I'm trying to dodge a projectile, having to do the block first and then the dodge just put a bit of a delay on the whole process and made it feel, well, unresponsive. I would find myself usually preferring to just time the sidestep and avoid spells and arrows that way. It can be done. It's easier with dodge, but again, if you get all the key presses correct. Luckily, there is a mod called One Button Dodge that essentially lets you set one single key to do the dodging, and honestly, it works perfectly. It's exactly what you would expect of a one key dodge function, and I've found myself now using it way more in combat. I'm not saying I couldn't have gotten used to the block dodge mechanic, but honestly this just feels way better for me. There is also a version of this mod that lets you double tap a direction key so that you dodge in that direction if you prefer that over a dedicated dodge button. This works perfectly fine. I did prefer the single button version, but honestly I could have quickly gotten used to the double tap as well. It's still better than the block dodge option in my opinion. It does also require that you install another mod called Unreal Engine 4/5 Scripting System, or UE4SS for short, but that's very easy to install and you'll probably find a number of other mods that will require this. For example, the melee attack feinting and dodge cancelling mod. If you've ever found yourself a little frustrated because you pressed the attack key and a fraction of a second later you thought, oh no, I need to block or I need to dodge, but you couldn't because you were locked into the animation, this mod is going to be one you need to look at. It essentially makes it so that if you block or dodge, the attack will stop. Now, there is only a certain amount of time in which you can cancel it, and that time varies weapon to weapon. You can tweak these values yourself if you wish to increase them, but I did find it useful immediately, because very often I will attack and change my mind really quickly. It's like there's you see an opening, you start to attack, and then you realize it was a mistake, and you can immediately cancel it. Very useful mod. Again, it does require the UE4SS mod, but honestly this one makes combat feel a lot more responsive. This and the one-button dodge mod together have really helped the combat feel a little more fluid, at least for me. And finally, I'm going to end this video on something a little less useful, a little less of a fix, and a little more fun. And that mod is Spoken Incantations by WestTek.
Deus oratio spiritus lamia dominus imago inflammatio.
It pretty much does exactly what you would expect it to do. It adds a voiced component to spells when you cast them. In this case, Ancient Latin. Now, don't worry, it doesn't slow the spell casting down at all. It just adds an extra sound on top of it, so you now feel like you're Gandalf the Grey invoking words of power when you cast a spell. Now, you have to choose male or female voices at the time of installation.
Deus oratio spiritus lamia inflammatio in vitro infra.
Unfortunately, this means if you're playing multiple characters, and one's female and one's male, you will have to have 2 installations of the mod and you'll have to switch a profile for that character. So, you know, that could be an issue if you are doing that. And the NPCs will voice the spells as well. And of course, if you've got the male voice set installed and you have female casters, they are going to be sounding like, well, they're going to sound like men casting the spells. So that could be an issue as well. It is kind of cool though, as the mod author pointed out, that you can hear the lines from the NPCs because you can actually start to identify the spell that they are casting in your direction. The mod author is also looking into finding coders who could help him create a script that would change the voices to the appropriate gender, but we'll have to see how that goes. If that is possible, I would love to hear different voices as well for different NPCs. This could become a fairly large project. I could imagine people wanting Khajiit sounding voices for Khajiit, Breton sounding voices for Bretons, etc, etc. I personally would love lots of different voice packs. I want, you know, Basil Fawlty incantations. That's what. No, I don't. I want Mr. Bean for the player character. I want Mr. Bean speaking ancient Latin for my character. Yes, I do. If that's possible, I want it. Yes, I'm being very demanding. And on that note, I am going to bring this video to a close. A big thank you for watching the video, and a big thank you to the mod authors for creating such great mods in such a short amount of time without any official tools for this remaster. You guys are doing an amazing job. Looking forward to what they can create next, and of course, I'm going to bring you guys more news regarding these mods when I can. I'd love it if you guys could join me for those videos, or indeed any of the other videos that I make, and I look forward to seeing you there. But until then, remember as always, have fun.